Okay.
So you let me know. Oh, it's live now?
Yes.
But it's not recording, is it?
Yes, but you know what? I'm a chatterbox. So I don't care. Like
I
I'm just
know.
this big chatterbox. I like for people to just be comfortable and we just have a girlfriend chat.
Mhm.
So it's good. I just put the link in there. And we also did it on LinkedIn as well. So it's like
Okay.
it's live a couple places, but I'm like a
Well,
little.
I'll let you talk to Angela, but thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're
And I'll be
welcome.
watching.
Thanks for setting everything up, girl. You got
Oh, my
the
pleasure.
best PR person I've ever seen, girl. He be advocating for you.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
He
Yes.
definitely
Working
is.
for
Like,
me.
I work with PR people all the time, and when I tell you the way that he professionalism and he
Mhm.
advocates and makes sure everything is organized, like I'm telling you, he is.
Oh, thank you.
No,
Yes, yes.
I am
Well,
so
I know, but
serious.
it's good to hear from other people. A few other people have told me that too, Brian, that they were really
Oh,
Really? That
yeah,
is
yeah.
so good that you have someone to advocate for you like that. Okay, so let's go
okay,
ahead and
well,
start the interview.
I'll let you do
Bye,
your thing.
Brian.
I'll
Hopefully, I
see
get to
you
talk
later.
to you again.
And happy holidays, everybody.
Okay, Angela. Okay. So I know you have a lot going on right now. Let me go ahead and introduce you. Y'all, I am so excited. It is such an honor for this interview. She is an Emmy winner. And now she's producing the show, the television movie that will be live on December the 3rd on Lifetime. Please help me welcome Miss Angela Tucker. I know you got a lot of other stuff too you doing. So we're gonna get into that.
Yeah, well, we can focus on New Orleans Noel on Lifetime.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
We'll focus on
I actually got a chance to see the movie, and one of the things that really stood out to me is that you're working with Patti LaBelle. Okay.
that.
Also, Keisha Pullman, and one of the things that's really cool about Keisha is that she was Little Rudy on the Cosby Show. So I was like, okay.
Yes, he was.
So tell me, like, what was it like working with like these great like actresses, singers? Whoopi Goldberg was a director. Like, what was that like?
Well, Whoopi Goldberg was executive producer. So to be clear, I'm the director, and Tim Reed is also in the movie. And people may know Tim from Sister Sister, and so yeah, they're amazing. I mean, Miss Patti is everything you want her to be. She's incredible. She's really kind and hardworking, and just I mean, I would wake up every day and be like, I can't believe. But you also have to, when you're dealing with people like that, just relax,
right, so and not be starstruck.
Yeah, so you can do your job. So it was like the first day I was like, and then I just had to, relax. And Keisha is a producer on the film as well, and so she's really great. And she, I mean, it's really kind of her desire to be in a film, also with Brad James, her husband. And she just, brought a lot of really great people to the team. A lot of people who worked with her before, in like wardrobe and hair and makeup and all that came to work on this film. So it was an honor. It was a really great experience.
Now you also got to work with Whoopi Goldberg. Like, what was that like?
So here's the funny thing. I never met Whoopi. Whoopi saw the film on like, she's working on some other projects with Lifetime.
Okay.
They sent her the film before it came out, and she really loved it and said, I want to be an executive producer. And sometimes executive producers are just people like Whoopi who love the film. They want to be an advocate for the film. They want to help get people to see it and support it. And that's what she did. She had, Patti on The View, and, she's posted about it on social media and stuff like that. But I've never met Whoopi Goldberg. I hope to meet Whoopi Goldberg one day. I know, it's crazy. I'm like, I'm hoping one day I'll get to meet her.
Now, the film was like, it was produced and made in New Orleans, right?
It was partially in New Orleans and in Natchez, Mississippi.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it was made in Mississippi as well. Like, you being a native of New Orleans, like, what did this mean to you? Like, what did it mean? Because one of the things about New Orleans, because I'm from Natchez, Louisiana, right? And we are very hospitable. And I noticed that in the film, it was like they came home and they just kind of fell in love from being in that city life to coming home and just gelling and everything. That I'm not going to tell the whole film. But what was it like?
It's a
What was
holiday
it
movie. You
like?
kind of know what's going to happen. So I live in New Orleans. I've been living here for 9 years, but I am a native of New York. And I say that because I know that people who are from New Orleans are very clear that you are not from New Orleans if you were not born in New Orleans. So it's funny because when I talk to other people, they'll go, but I mean, you've been living there for like 9 years. I mean, you're basically from
Right.
it. No. I was not born in New Orleans. I am not. I'm clear that I am, and I'm a born and raised New Yorker, but I wanted the opportunity to make a love letter to New Orleans, like that. I wanted the film to really be a love letter to New Orleans, and to show New Orleans in a way that you don't normally get to see it. Like when people film there, they usually make it another place,
Right.
or it's like all about Bourbon Street, or something. Just I
Right.
wanted to
Right.
show the Black family that is in New Orleans and that is about love, and so that was my goal, is to make something that does genuinely feel like a love letter to the city.
That's awesome. New Orleans is just like because I come there every year because we do media for Essence Music Festival, and when I come in. Even with me being from Natchitoches, it's a lot of culture, the red beans and rice, the gumbo. So were you able to like really gel being like from New York coming in to New Orleans?
Please, I gained like 30 pounds. So yeah. Like, whoo, did I gel with the food? I mean, I just had this feeling that moving to New Orleans would change my life for the better. And it has, I mean, I found my husband here.
Nice.
I just knew that it would. And so I'm not a great cook. I thought I would learn how to, because people here are such good cooks. It's very intimidating to cook for people here. So I just sort of don't do it.
Right.
I'll cook enough to live, but I just let other people. My husband can cook, so that's great. He's from Texas, but yeah, I like the idea of making gumbo for somebody who is a New Orleans native. There's just nothing more intimidating to me. It's like,
okay, Angela, I'm not getting off subject because I know we're talking about this film. Okay, I'm a Texas native and I travel back from LA and different places. And when people tell me that they're making gumbo, I'm like looking around like, no, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I won't do it. There was this funny moment in the movie where, Miss Patty's character, she plays this woman, Loretta Brown, and she's making gumbo. And so, we had gumbo on set, and just like so many people were like, what's up with that gumbo? That looks like chili. You're not going to do a shot of that, are you? That doesn't look right. I'm like, we just need them to eat something that's gumbo-like, and everybody's like, and then also gumbo in Mississippi is different than gumbo in Louisiana. And so, Cajun gumbo is like different, like there's color, texture differences.
Right.
I just was like, guys, no one's going to show the gumbo. They're just going to have it in a bowl and they're going to eat it. But that was really funny. It was like a whole moment where I just had to be like, guys.
So tell me about like the chemistry on the set. I know that it was like a major chemistry working with all the different actors. What was that like? Like, what was it like working on the set?
Well, I mean, the great thing about Keisha and Brad is that they're married. So you don't have to worry about romantic chemistry there because they're married. Well, I mean, luckily their chemistry comes across in the movie. Some married people at all, but their chemistry really showed. So with a lot of these movies, I'm a lover of Christmas movies. I watch a bunch where I'll just go, I just feel like those two people wouldn't get together, so in terms of romantic chemistry, they had great chemistry. And also, there's another romance in the movie, and I felt like they, like there was some good chemistry there. All of the actors just really got along too, and everyone was pretty easygoing. And I think also because we were all in, kind of Natchez isn't like a small town, but it's I'm also saying it wrong. It's like Natchez. I'm saying Natchez. I'm saying it wrong, but it's a small enough place that really there's nothing that you could fall into. You know, you're just gonna
Right.
you're just
Ride
gonna really like
horses.
yeah. Whereas
Go do
if
something
we
like
had
Southern.
filmed, yeah, if we had filmed a bulk of it, the things we filmed in New Orleans was just a handful of days, so no one could get into too
Mhm.
much trouble, and it kept us all kind of, a tight group.
A tight knit group. That's so
Hmm.
cool. Now,
Hmm.
what does this mean? Like you coming in as a woman director.
Hmm.
What does that mean for you and for your, the people that follow you and for this movie being on Lifetime? What does it mean to be? Because I know it's like not a lot of women film directors. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I really like about you is that you're paving the way, not for only film directors, but for African American film directors. So
Hmm.
what does that like feel like from that aspect of it?
Yeah, it's a huge honor, first of all, to just
Right.
be able, I know that's a lot of people dream to have this opportunity, and I don't take it for granted. Like, I know that, it's very privileged. I'm privileged to do it. And there's, within the holiday movie space, there are some other, directors this year, Black directors this year, but not that many, and more women. But it's funny, there's still a lot of men who direct these
Right. It's a male
movies.
dominated industry. Right.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get more and more people, in there to be able to have these opportunities. And that's why, with our film, with New Orleans Noel, I really wanted to show a Black family, and a lot of these holiday movies are scripts that are clearly written for white people
Hmm.
and then cast with Black people. But our script was written for Black people, and
Right.
that's a different thing,
Right.
so the culture is ingrained in the script as opposed
Right.
to the other way around. And that's why I think it's important for more Black people to tell Black stories, because you can tell when you watch movies when a Black person made this Black story versus when someone who wasn't Black told the story. So I hope, that's why it's important for us to support, these films, because then it sends a message to the networks that we want to see more films like this. And the only way they respond is when there's, when they feel like there's a financial component, and the financial component is getting lots and lots of people to watch the
Right.
films.
To watch the films. Now, what do you feel have been some challenges of being an African American woman? Because the
Mhm.
industry is by itself just seems like it's a lot. Like it really
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
So to step into this dominated, male industry, like how do you do that? Like how do you create the courage and the stamina that it takes to do that?
Well, thanks. It's really, it's really hard, and you have to. Every time a movie gets made, it's a miracle. It doesn't even matter who does it. My dad had
Wow.
this thing he said to me when I got into film school at Columbia University, and it was going to be a lot of loans, and I was a little bit like, I don't know. And he was like, you're just going to have to make it if you do this, right? And I was like, yeah. But the thing he
Go
said
dad.
was,
Okay,
yeah.
go dad.
And he was like, he said, listen, film is hard for white people. When something's hard for white people, it's really hard. So you're just going to have to really make it happen. And
Right.
I remembered that, film is a hard industry for everybody. It's hard for white
Wow.
men, So I think it's just about, having as many projects as you can kind of ready to go, so that when your time comes, when your card is called, when you have that moment that you could pitch or talk to somebody, that you have something to talk about, that you have something ready to present to somebody. Whenever you're kind of waiting for films to happen or your opportunity to happen, you can always be making your script better. You can always be
Right.
making your deck better. You can always be doing that. And so that's what I just try to do is, I take one project at a time, but I'm also thinking about, okay, if somebody came to me tomorrow and said, here's like $5 million to make a movie, what movie would you make? I would have something that I could hand somebody and say, I would make this movie, and I could make it, as soon as possible. And I think a lot of people aren't necessarily ready for their moment in that way. And I think you have to really be ready for your moment, in addition to all the many, many other things that you need to do to be seen, it's also like sometimes people can get seen and then they're not ready. So
Gotcha.
you know, it's important to just really, you know, make sure that you're ready.
Now, when doing directing this film, what do you feel like the things that did to help you prepare yourself for this huge opportunity? What do you think some of the things, just speaking to people out there that are like wanting to get into the industry, especially women, what do you think
Yeah.
some things that you had to do to position yourself for this opportunity?
Well, I mean, everyone does not have to do this, but I went to film school.
Okay.
I went I got my MFA in film. I'm not somebody who can work on a lot of sets and learn things from being on sets. I needed to take a minute to understand the craft in, you know, in that way. So whatever you need to do, I think it's important to study the craft, be it go to school, be it do an online class, be it something, you know, like it's really important to know what other films are out there. And there's so many filmmakers who don't actually watch films, and you need to
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people, or they just watch, you know, it's not enough to just watch the couple of movies that come out every year. You need to go way, way, way back, you know? So I think that's really important to really get your film knowledge together. You know, that's key. And there's a lot of different things you can do. I mean, it starts as simple as you could start making things on your phone. You know, I mean, that's the beauty
Right.
beauty of TikTok. And none of that was really around when I started, you know?
Right. I agree.
So, you know, it might have been a different thing if I had, I don't think that's my medium, but I for all of the people who are doing so many incredible things on there, it's just, what I love about TikTok is you make something, you move on, you make the next thing, you move on. And that's what I think not enough people do. They get so focused on this one thing they want to make, and then they're not making anything else, you know? And
I totally
think you got to
agree.
keep making things. That's really key.
Actually, I told Brian, your PR manager, before you came on, I went live on TikTok. And I just turned my camera on. I was like, hey guys, y'all gotta go see this film on Lifetime. I'm feeling ready to interview. And then Angela, because I think sometimes we get caught up in the perfectionist of everything. Yeah. And to, like you said, to stay out of that and just go with it, it will definitely perfect itself. Now, I know that you talked about culture. Like, I know when it comes to culture, like I was saying, when I come to Essence, like I breathe when I come into Louisiana. Like, what were important aspects of the culture that you wanted to pull into this movie to really highlight African-American families and their tradition of celebrating the holidays?
Yeah, well, definitely togetherness, you know, just the act of seeing families in this beautiful house, you know, who are kind to each other, who, you know, they're not like yelling at each other, just, you know, the arguments they're having are very minor in the main scheme of things. So that's one thing. And, you know, specifically for this story, you know, the culture of baking and, you know, so, you know, Miss Loretta Brown in the film is based on a real person. It's this woman, Loretta Harrison, who created Loretta's Pralines in New Orleans. And she is, I always get this wrong, but I think she's like the first African-American female in New Orleans to start a candy company. And so we used a lot of information from her life in the film. And we also, you know, use all of the logos, all of that is from her store to give it kind of a feel like it's based in something that's real. And so that's, you know, that's kind of a part of history that's in the story as well. And, you know, down to, you know, just definitely things that people are eating and stuff like that. But I think that historical information, having that be part of the film, really benefits it.
That's beautiful. I like when you like highlight the importance of unity and family coming together. And, you know, because sometimes we like kind of get in our own little worlds, but especially with African-Americans, all of us would come home to mama's house, you know, and it really gives us just that ground. Like I was telling you, when I come to Essence, it grounds me. So
Mhm.
that really stood out in the movie, like the unity
Mhm.
part of it and how you studying. Now you did do some writing in this movie because I looked you up
Mhm.
on IMDb and I was like, oh, this girl here, like she had it going on for real. I was just playing. But Elise Murray was one of the
Uh-huh.
writers and the producers. And so
Mhm.
what was that like working with her and doing a lot of the writing as well?
Yeah, I mean, Elise and I wrote it together. So the idea is that Elise and Daniel Lewis, who was one of the producers, they pitched the idea first to Lifetime, and Lifetime, to their credit, they pitched the idea and gave like a treatment, and then Lifetime said, "We want a Black co-writer and a Black director," which is really so. And at the time, there was this exec named Michael Chin at Lifetime, Black guy, and I mentioned that because that's really why that happened. Like, it took a Black executive to say that this was kind of the priority, and his boss also was a Black woman, and they together were like, "This is what we want to give the green light." So then, Daniel, the producer, and his producing partner Misty Talley, they found me, and then Elise and I worked on this piece together. So it starts out with a treatment, which is just kind of a 9 or
Pitching
10
it.
page document, yeah, which is talking about the story. And then I did a rewrite of that and made some changes. Elise is white, and so Elise had her perspective that she brought to it. She wrote it for a Black family, but she's the first person to admit I'm not Black. So
Right.
when I did a rewrite of the treatment, it was kind of, adding my own spin to it. And then once Lifetime gave us the green light, meaning we could write the script, then, we used the treatment, and, she did kind of an initial pass of it, of writing the script. And her pass is really kind of a very basic pass, knowing that I would then come in and take that and, do a lot of rewriting, but the structure of it was there. And part of that, which was really great, is that, Elise is a more experienced writer than I am. She's written a bunch of romance novels. She's written a bunch of movies for Hallmark. So I was able to work with somebody who had kind of more experience and could write one of these scripts like in her sleep, whereas like
Wow.
me, I was newer with it. So if I had to do that first pass myself, that would have been taken more time than it took her. It took her like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And
That
then,
is so. Was it a
yeah.
great, like, did you like pick up like the mentor? Like, was she more like your mentor as well to like help you with everything?
Yeah,
Like
I
with
mean, I
regards
would
to the
say
writing?
that, yeah, I would say that Daniel, it's like, because, your producers, because they had the relationships with Lifetime, Daniel and Michael, my exec too, they were really, you have them read things, but, yeah, I mean, I felt like I was mentored by everybody, quite frankly, because I had directed a feature film before, but I hadn't worked in the Lifetime universe. And what I think people forget is holiday movies are a genre, just like horror films are a genre, and there
Right.
are rules to every genre. So if you love a genre, then you notice all of these different things and you want to make sure that your film has them. Like, in the holiday movie genre, obviously there's a lot of times there's like a love story, but for Lifetime specifically, they like sequences where the couple, basically because people fall in love so quickly, the only way that you can kind of see them fall in love is by them doing things. So you need different sequences of them. That's why there's a lot of people baking together or building snowmen together, or so it's like doing holiday things together that move the plot along. And so all of those things are things that you need to be in the holiday world, like, holiday movie making
Right.
world, to
Right.
know that that's what they do. So it's great because now I feel like a lot of people now are talking to me about, I want to make a holiday movie. I don't know what to do. And I at least can give them a lot of like basic advice, of like, this is how I did it.
Right.
I got into it in a really random way. I knew one of the producers. I'm in this group called Film Fatales with her. And when they were looking for a Black female director, she knew me, and that's how it happened.
Right.
So, and it's not like a linear way at all. I mean, Lifetime doesn't even really have that many Black female directors that they hire on a regular basis for these holiday movies. So it was really incredible that I was able to get in there.
Do you feel that diversity inclusion is really important for I don't want to just say African American, but just for different nationalities to be in these positions, like or be in position. How important do you think that is? Because I think that's really important to, even when, like, say, for instance, when they even want to look for you or looking for someone, how important do you think it is to just be in position to be found?
Oh, it's hugely important because, people say they want more diverse content, but there's always
Exactly.
the thing of like, oh, but I want it, but I don't know how to find a person who knows a Black director. I don't know how to find a Black writer, which is insane to me. You could just, we know so many.
Right.
So, I mean, first of all, I think of it, I always think of it as like being when your time is called, really it goes back to that, being ready for it.
Right.
But I mean, it's so important for people to see diverse stories because, it makes us all better understand each other culturally.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So I think about even that we have so far to go, if you're just talking in the holiday movie space in terms of, we're just starting to see Latinx holiday movies. That's crazy, right? But now you're starting to see more of those. And I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a native lead in a holiday movie. I cannot think of one. So that just shows you how far we have to go as a people if these movies are really supposed to be sort of representative of family all over, then we still have a ways to go.
Now, what are some of the things that you want viewers to take from the movie when they watch the movie? I know you talk about the culture and the unity. What is, like, one of the things, like, I know you emphasize about the love letter. So what is it, some things that you want them to get from the movie when they walk away? Well, like with me, when I watched the movie and when I started interviewing you, the first thing you made me think about was going home to get grounded. And that's and be in unity and just go back to my roots. Like, it doesn't matter if you're from New York or if you're from Texas, but to go back to that groundedness of going back to look at where my grandmother used to live. What are some things that you want the viewer to take away from the movie?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because the whole going back to get grounded. Yeah, I am from New York City. I have not been home in, it might be a year now. And I can tell that I need to go home because I keep watching holiday movies that take place in New York. I keep going, and I keep watching New York on TV, like, look, New York. Yeah, I definitely clearly need to go home to be grounded, for sure. And I think too, I mean, I just want people to, have a good time, be open to just, just this falling in love and watching two people fall in love, but also, one thing about the movie that is autobiographical is, my parents have passed away, and I wanted to make a movie where the protagonist of the film was kind of grappling with having lost their parents on the holidays. And, that was really important to me because, sometimes when you watch these films, it's really great, but you feel a little left out because
I
talking
totally
about
agree.
the sadness. Yeah. And talking about there is a sadness to the holidays when you've lost people. And I feel like now, especially after the pandemic, people are more open to talking about, like, sadness that they have around loss. And so I wanted that to be part of it, and to have it that even though you feel that sadness and you're allowed to feel that sadness, that family is who you choose. And that's the message of the film. And I feel
That's
like,
beautiful.
I feel good about it. Yeah.
Because I never, that's a great point for you to bring up in regards to the holidays, because unfortunately the suicide rate does go up around the holidays.
Yeah.
And for you to for you to bring this film in, and one of the primary goals of your love letter is that you want people to be able to still reminisce and understand the importance of family. That is so beautiful. Now, how did the film inspire you? Because I know when I had read in your bio that when you were growing up, you used to watch Christmas films and different things.
Yeah.
How did this inspire? Did you have to, like, go back in and, like, really channel that little girl inside for some different parts or some different writing?
Yeah. Well, So one of my favorite romantic films is While You Were Sleeping. It's a movie that came out in the 90s with Sandra Bullock. It was like one of her first films. Highly recommend it. It's a Lifetime Christmas movie before they were making Lifetime Christmas movies. It's pretty much. So that movie is a movie that I return to all the time. So actually in our film, I knew I wanted to take some of the plot elements of While You Were Sleeping because I love that film. So there's a lot of While You Were Sleeping bits in there. So I had always had the secret desire to do that. So that's in there. And actually, the very end of the film, there's sort of a shot at the end through the streetcar window, which is the exact replica of a shot at the end of While You Were Sleeping. So that's a fun fact where I was like, I'm going to end it with the exact shot with the train pulling away from the camera. So so I was so excited to be able to include bits from like one of my favorite romantic movies.
So you went back to like being like some different memories, great memories when you had a little girl that inspired you for the film. Is there another one or anything else that like you went into like from your own family or from any of your own traditions that help you?
Yeah, I mean, my Aunt Charlotte loves these. I mean, she doesn't just love like Christmas movies. I mean, to be specific, she loves like the Hallmark romance movies. Like so over the holidays, it's like she'll be cooking while those movies are on TV. So that I was also sort of raised on, watching these movies in the background during the holiday times. But I'm trying to think other than While You Were Sleeping, because that's kind of the big one. I'm also really into love stories for older people too. Like I love romances where, where people are in their like 60s and 70s or 80s or 90s or whatever.
Just interesting.
Like, older. Because to show that you can find love again, so that was something that's in this film too that I was interested in doing as well. I mean, I my best friend Aisha and I started this podcast talking about Christmas movies actually, and we recorded our first episode. It's called For the Love of Tinsel, and and so she was saying. She's like, it's kind of wild that we used to watch these movies together as kids and now you've made one. She goes, it's pretty amazing. And I said, yeah, I guess it is, because I had spent a very long time studying them and knowing when I got the opportunity, what I would not do.
Right. So it was already there. Do you think that like with your father passing, do you think that doing this movie and being able to go back and do all those memories and everything, do you think that it brought like a healing to you? Like just, do you think it did?
Yeah, no, it really did. I mean, I think how it was I felt like because my dad died on Christmas Eve, I wouldn't really want to talk about it because it's Christmas and I don't want to be like a downer on Christmas time, but it was always a complicated time. And I think in making the movie it made me understand that it's okay to feel sadness, to have memories.
Right. You found your nugget.
Like all of those feelings are okay. So I feel it helped me accept that, and it took me a long time to accept that. So it's nice to feel like I am okay with the different feelings that come up at this time of year.
Right. It's refreshing to be able to like, go back and put it all together and get a perspective. But one of the things that I like about it is that with the movie, I think it's so much healing in the movie. Like you said, like I agree to that, because people that have lost family members, they can, when they're sitting down watching the movie, they can think about their own family. And even growing up as a child and having your parents there and just sharing those moments. And so we'll definitely give a shout out on the podcast as well. But I never thought of it as a way to heal, when Christmas time comes, because it's like such a downer for some people, even for me, because my mom passed away. I really don't think about it. I just jet off to another city and find something to do with my,
and that's fine too,
But people that just don't like moving all the time, and then sometimes they
Mhm.
just kind of sit in their houses, you know.
Mhm,
Like I really feel
mhm,
like watching this movie and having different group chats and podcasts
mhm,
where you can still interact as a family. It's just beautiful. Like I now I see what the love letter is.
mhm,
Now the
mhm.
movie that I thought about when you started talking about New York was Home Alone.
Yes. Oh my God. It's so funny. Everybody rewatches Home Alone. And I just started doing it because I was like, that movie's so crazy. But yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah,
It was
it's a good
that one part of the movie because I was like 9 years old when it came out.
one. Mhm.
When he found his mom, and I think he was like at the Christmas tree where they were skate.
Yes.
That's crazy. I
Mhm,
remember that part. So
mhm.
when you said New York, I really thought about that part. Now, do you
Yes.
plan on doing any like? 'Cause this seems like a ministry. Like it seems like it's just so many different things that came from you doing this. Do you feel like you
Mhm.
do any other movies? I know you talked about the podcast, but is there anything else that you'll be doing around Christmas and Christmas movies? Because like you
Well,
just
I
bouncing
hope
college.
to. Yeah, I mean, I'm pitching a bunch of different movies to different places. I think once the movie comes out, then we'll see. But I mean, it's funny you say in New York. I would love to do a Christmas movie in New York. That would be a lot of fun. And I really want to do a Christmas musical. That's another sort of fantasy
Oh,
I
that's
have.
really interesting.
Yeah,
A Christmas
yeah, yeah,
musical. Because you get
yeah.
like now when it comes to like culture, like because you touched
Mhm.
on something out that was really interesting as well. Like, what is the importance of all of these cultures showing Christmas movies? Like Hispanics, just everybody, African Americans.
Mhm.
Like, what is the
Mhm.
importance of that?
Well, I mean, it's like we all get to better understand one another. We all get to see how different people live. I watched this, I've been watching a lot of Christmas movies, and I watched this one called Sweet Navidad on Lifetime, I think.
Mm.
And it was about a Puerto Rican family, and it was like a Puerto Rican woman who's a pastry chef, and she's making all these different pastries. And so you got to learn about the different pastries that she was making from her culture. And, like that, and that was really cool. In addition to, the love story, the guy that she likes, and she's not sure if he likes her back, her family's in it, all those things. But you get to see culturally how different people live. And I don't think this is something that's beneficial for me, but for people who don't humanize people of color the way they should, if they watch more of these films, it's kind of hard to deny the humanity of
Exactly.
of people, you know.
Right.
Uh, so I'm not. That's not why I need to watch them, but I think
Right.
some other people, when they watch them, are able to. It's helpful for that. Whether like the broadcast, whether the channels know that or not, I think that it does have that ability to. I mean, you already see. There was a whole brouhaha about Candace Cameron. I don't remember her full name, but Candace Cameron from Full House, who is now on Great American Classics. I think that there's a new channel that's doing holiday movies, and they're not doing holiday movies with gay couples. And she was saying that, we're going to do more traditional marriages instead of gay marriages. And that started a whole discussion. And it made me see how much we need to see gay couples in these
I
holiday movies.
agree. I
Like
agree.
we need to see more of that
I agree because it's
because
diversity.
yeah,
I totally
yeah,
agree. I
yeah,
totally
yeah,
agree. Now, do you
yeah.
feel that Lifetime? How do you feel that Lifetime has evolved? With wanting
Mhm.
like to have African American directors and executives. It seemed like Lifetime is really, really evolving. How do you feel like they're evolving?
Oh yeah, I think that they're doing a really good job in terms of having more diverse films. Like I think it's kind of more and more. You always kind of want as many as you can have, but
Right, right,
you're always like more. But but I definitely it started out where it was the best friend and like or the husband of the sister was someone of color. It kind of started
right,
there. And then
right.
but now it's becoming, they'll always have a couple that are black. And now, there's a couple that is Latinx. I was just thinking about there's one they did a couple years ago with this woman, Ali Stoker, who is in a wheelchair. She won the Tony for Oklahoma, and it was really cool to see a love story with a woman in a wheelchair. I mean, that was like,
you're very interesting.
I've like literally never seen anything like that before or since. And I was like, they need to do that more. So Lifetime is doing a lot of great work. And Hallmark is starting to as well, because, you know, there's a Black woman now who's the head of Hallmark.
I did not know that. So
you're starting to see this year, you're starting to see some diversity, because I think some films are films she developed and some are before her. But I'm curious to see what Hallmark does next year, because that'll probably be all films that you know, the Black head of it developed or had some role in developing. So it'll be interesting to see how Hallmark develops too.
That's very interesting, because when I think about Hallmark, I always think about a white couple.
Yeah, well, because it was like that forever.
but you know what? Let me tell you something, Angela. Diversity is so important, and it's not just with I guess fully run white companies, but African American as well. One brand, actually, when I was at Essence Fest, I don't know if you know of Estee Lauder. You know, when you think of Estee Lauder, what do you think about? You think about this white rich woman, right?
Yeah.
But since we have Mac and Rihanna is like kicking their behinds, right? So now they're trying to tap into this market that you felt this eye going over to the Estee Lauder table. So I think that it's really like, it is so admirable for Lifetime to say, okay, we want to show African American. We want to show, you know, we want to broaden our perspective. Because, and another question I want to ask you, do you think that they're catering to their viewership? Because I know a lot of people watch Lifetime. They'll probably watch Lifetime before they watch OWN. I'll watch
Oh yeah. They're definitely catering to their viewership for sure. Which again, I get it. It's all about money. So if it's all about money, then look at the people who are watching your stuff. And there's a lot of Black people who watch Lifetime. That's why, I mean, Lifetime started doing a lot of those, you know, these series or these movies, like they did one on the Clark sisters. They've been doing a lot
Toni Braxton?
No, that was the one with oh god.
Was it Janet Jackson?
Well, they did Janet Jackson. They've done Toni Braxton stuff too. Like they've been doing a lot of movies that are kind of either these biographies of Black people, like fictionalized, or you know, so they know that, you know, they want to try to get the Black audience in whatever way they can, while still sort of maintaining, you know, their who I don't even know the actual demographic. I know that for the movies, the women are kind of, you know, 30, like they want the women to be kind of like kind of in their 30s. They look like they're in their 30s.
Okay.
So that's what's interesting is, like, you know, I think it's 30s because, like, you know, they're grown, but they still could have a whole life ahead of them. So which, you know, you can vary. But actually, you know, I'm in the middle of watching this Jane Seymour one where Jane Seymour finds love, and she's 71. So
Stella got her groove back. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, all right, we're doing this. I'm down.
But one of the things that I like about your directing this film is that it shows like the wholesomeness, the unity, the positivity. How important do you think that is as a film director? Or do you go back, like, does it matter? Or is it like a certain type of target audience, or how you're trying to get your message out as a film director?
Well, you know, the thing I will say is, you know, when you're making a movie for a network in this way, so it's a different thing. Let's say you made a movie by yourself, you finished it, you put it on a film festival, and then a network acquires it. That's one thing, right? And that's a very different process. Everything about that movie is the way you wanted it to be. The network is just picking it up and showing it on their channel.
Right.
But in my case, it's, you know, you pitch directly to the network, and it's almost like you're making an agreement together to make a certain kind of film. And so the network has has really say. I mean, they honestly have final cut of the movie. You know, if I gave them a movie that they didn't like, they could change it. You know,
That's
I mean,
really
that didn't happen.
interesting.
Yeah, that
I
didn't
never
happen,
thought it was
but
two ways that you could go. I didn't think that it was two ways that you
yeah,
could go like that. That's
so
so interesting.
that's how you get the money, is like they're partners with you in it, you know, and you're showing them daily, like every day you shoot, you're sending them footage, they're looking at it. I mean, the great thing is I never got any notes while I was filming, so that made me see that I was doing a good job. You know, if I did get notes like, you know, you see it in movies where they'll go, they were looking at the dailies and they didn't like it, you know, like they looked at the dailies every day, but they didn't have anything to say, which is great. So, you know, you're really partnering with the network. And so there are rules and parameters you have with the kinds of movies that you're making. Like, you know, there's no sex in it. You know, you can't.
Right. Okay.
Sex is implied. You understand these are grown people and they probably had sex, but like you can't show it or say, you know, we're going to go off and have sex, you know? So that's always a funny thing where, if I were making a movie, I might have it be like a little more, you know, because there was a movie I was watching. I don't think with my movie, but I think there's some movies I watch where, you know, as a grown up, where you're like, after that date, y'all would have gone home and had sex. I mean, let's just
right.
You know, y'all know.
Right. But this one is like this, like, and that's so interesting that it's like those different parts. Like you can do it at the film festival, or you can get in a licensing contract. Now, with like so much education that you have and so much experience, do you have any? Because I was on your Facebook page and I saw where you help with bios, or you help, like, do you have different schools and seminars for women that are wanting to get into the film directing field?
Well, I mean, in New Orleans, I'm doing a workshop tomorrow.
I hate I can't be there. I was like, this is so interesting.
So I am doing a workshop tomorrow at New Orleans Video Access Center, but I mean, it's kind of case by case. I was teaching. I was a professor for a few years at Tulane University.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And then I had to stop because it just was too much to teach. But I have been thinking about doing more kind of workshops, something that could be kind of online. So it's on my mind. I'm noodling on it. I just I figure out the best thing for it. But I'd like to do more of that. So just because it seems like just answering people's questions, if nothing else.
Right. Huge. I totally agree.
It's all kind of mysterious, and it really doesn't have to be that mysterious.
I totally agree. I just saw it. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. And I was like, oh my God, she's having a workshop. Like, oh my God. Like, but anyways, I've really enjoyed talking to you and learning about the industry. Like, and I'm walking away with this wholesome feeling.
Oh, thank you. This has been so fun.
Oh my God. But can you tell people like how they can like follow you, reach out to you if they have any questions? Because like I said before we started, like when I was at Film Fest, it was like so much everything, but it was like for you, it was like so inviting and so easy to understand. It's like, it was just a lot. It was a lot of interviews, just a lot, but I was just like so drawn to like, it was just something about the aura of the website and your film. It was like, it just was something about it. I was like, it just makes sense. You know, not saying that they don't make sense, but it's like when you first coming into film festivals and you're like, oh my God, like this is a lot. Like, how am I watch all this in one day? But it was just something about your film and the marketing that just felt so right, you know, and but definitely, how can people get in contact with you on your Instagram, Facebook? What's the great way if they want to like do interviews?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all Tucker Girl, TCRGURL is the tricky part. So you can reach out to me on all those platforms.
Okay, and Brian, you want to give your information? Is he still here? Brian, you want to give your information?
Yes, I'm back. Thank you for talking to Angela. It was really fun watching. Sure, I'm Brian Geldon PR, briangeldon.com. And I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. as well.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
I guess I could say tuckergirl.com. Duh.
Tucker, yes,
too.
Tucker Girl.
You have your own
I
website.
love Tucker. We could go on. We probably have to. I probably have to schedule another interview with you because I've seen what you did with. Was it Kim Whitley when you did the interview? And you
Oh
did with Kim.
yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So
Oh
but
yeah, I did a
definitely-
bunch of spots for Netflix. Yeah.
I saw that. That's so
Mhm.
interesting. But yeah, but thank you so much, Angela, again, and thank you so much, Brian, for coming in. I definitely I'm definitely grateful for it. I learned a lot today, a lot. And guys, you definitely make sure you check out the film on December 3rd, A New Orleans Noel. And that's it. So bye, guys. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Crystal.
Thanks for
Thank
coming,
you.
Angela.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas to you.
Happy
Happy New
holidays.
Year's.
Yeah. Bye.